Jeff Bezos of Amazon once said, any organization that does not invest in training is destined to fail. For learning and development management within an organization, often the starting point is a needs assessment or a gap analysis. And one track where this takes you is to determine the need for soft skills training. This brings us to the work done by British psychologist Raymond Cattell, who studied performance and intelligence. He showed that at early stages of life, children learn language skills, social interaction, and general intelligence at a very rapid rate. But this peaks around the late teens. And fluid intelligence, which is associated with memory, problem solving, learning new processes, etc., decays quite rapidly. However, crystallized intelligence, which is practical experience, judgment, logic, intuition, etc., continues to increase. Our performance is a combination of these two. What training does is improve performance. There is no doubt that most folk at the top of an organization are indeed very competent and they have a proven track record. However, to make winning decisions, they have to rely on information that moves up the chain from their downline. The question is, what if this information is not the best or is flawed? Remember, though leadership is top down, most decisions are bottom up because managers have to rely on subordinates to provide data, information, options, context, etc. Therefore, decision making training is required across the board. Think for a moment. Our lives revolve around knowing what we want, which is decision making, and getting what we want, which is negotiating. Because every action is a decision and every interaction is a negotiation. Don't settle for the good decision, strive for the optimal decision. Otherwise, you will leave money and opportunities on the table, and you would never know. Now, what is a common factor that binds some of the world's richest companies, for example, Apple, Microsoft, Amazon, Google, Facebook, etc.? It is data, data, data. Data is the new currency. The growth of data is exponential, but how we interpret this data has not changed for centuries. We still rely on traits such as common sense, experience, judgment, intuition, gut feel, etc. Sadly, these are totally inadequate in a big data environment. Often and unwittingly, we settle for suboptimal decisions. While these traits are absolutely essential, it is time that we reinforce them with analytical techniques and strive for the optimum decision through decision validation. Hence, the case for training in decision making and negotiating. Sadly, most CEOs see training as a cost, yet the benefits of training are well documented. When we propose training on decision making and negotiating to L&D professionals, the typical response we get is, we have not had such a request from our business units. Maybe we can learn from mistakes made in other industries. Let's talk about the birth of the minivan. Harold Sperling was a chief engineer at Ford Motor Company when he suggested the development of the minivan, which is now known as the SUV. He was told, we have not had any request for such a vehicle, so we do not see a need. So he moved to Chrysler Corp, where Lee Iacocca, the CEO of Chrysler, agreed to build the minivan. The rest is history. Ford said that the loss of potential revenue because they delayed the offering of the minivan was about $1 billion. A gap analysis would not have identified the need for the minivan. Now, I'm not opposed to needs assessment or gap analysis. What I'm pointing out is that learning and development managers must go beyond to explore anything that would not fit within these tools. Now, what about career development of your staff? Does this not count for anything? Trust me, if you don't provide career development opportunities, your best employees will join a company that does. Additionally, staff retire or move on. You can either upskill your staff or hire as needed. Hiring and onboarding is a very costly proposition. Training departments have not realized the enormous changes in the world of decision making and negotiating. In the past, negotiating was considered to be the art of bargaining. But today, there's a lot of science behind negotiating, much bordering the psychology of persuasion. In today's age of big data, traits such as common sense, gut feel, intuition, experience, judgment, etc., alone are inadequate. We need to reinforce these with analytical techniques. Every organization has to make routine decisions on recruiting, bid evaluation, procurement, asset allocation, site selection, etc. And even as an individual, you have to make decisions pertaining to careers, education, buying a home or a car, investments, retirement, etc. Decision making and negotiating skills will save you thousands of dollars. I'm sure some of you will say, I don't have time to learn anything new. I'm very busy. I remind you of the woodchopper who said, I have to get through a lot. I don't have time to sharpen my. World famous coaching guru Marshall Goldsmith wrote a famous book. What got you here won't get you there. This means you or your company. And for those who still feel they don't need any training, I invite you to try this 4-minute self-assessment. 5 simple multiple choice questions. It's a real eye-opener. Click on the link below. So what next? Say, great message. It was informative and insightful. And then go back to the same old? Well, a friend of ours, Einstein, once said, insanity is doing the same thing over and over and expecting a different result. Those who do not update their knowledge in these areas are destined to become obsolete and irrelevant. Would you knowingly send your car to an untrained mechanic? Probably not. Would you knowingly go to an untrained dentist? Most certainly not. Why not? Because he might mess up your car and your mouth. But more significant, a trained person is likely to perform better. Sadly, in many organizations, untrained folk are making crucial decisions. When it comes to training, you can either wait for the pain to surface and then take painkillers, or you can take your vitamins today and avoid painkillers tomorrow. My advice is get trained today. For over 20 years, I have been offering in-person and virtual training on analytical decision making and negotiation. Our training is based on the 3 M's: the message, the messenger, and the method. Thank you for watching. We'd love to connect with you on LinkedIn.